Hello, everybody, and welcome to our nth, I don't even know how many we've done, whatever number this is, of our Nerdletter Talk, where myself, Paul Moderman, and my amazing co-host, Yelena Perfilyeva, talk you through some of the things we're thinking about writing for our next letter, or the next issue of our Boring Enterprise Nerdletter newsletter. So we'll just show some web pages or thoughts or whatever that we have and talk through our ideas. So Yelena, kick us off. Take us through what
Awesome.
you're thinking about.
Awesome. All right. So behind the scenes of Master's Laboratory of Boring Enterprise Nerds. So
This is where the sausage is made.
yeah, exactly. It's where my magic happens. So as we know, today actually is March 8th. Oh, wonderful. So when we're recording this is actual International Women's Day.
Oh.
So I once a year I play my lady card, and I get to write an article about women in IT or women, I mean, in life in general. So I actually checked our old issues, and they haven't played my card in 2023. So so I have a reserve. So I found this article, and you can look at the date. So it's been written what, like yeah,
7, 8 years ago,
yeah,
whatever it is.
seven,
Yeah.
8 years ago. And I read through it. It's excellent article. It's pretty long, but it breaks down all those things with like women in IT that we keep talking about. And the funny, or maybe rather sad thing about it is that pretty much almost nothing changed in those years. All of this is still valid. There have been some improvements, which I will write about. But in general, I think a lot of this is very true. And I think so. So as the title suggests correctly, it's not the pipeline problem, because there are very many women going into IT or STEM, like in general education, technology education, but
Mhm.
then somehow the curve goes like whoop, 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 whoop. It just they
Yeah, yeah,
just keep
yeah,
somehow falling off the wagon. And
yeah.
I do have some ideas. I think every woman who works in IT, they do have some ideas why this is
Was
happening.
that a colorblind test that was up there?
It's yeah, it's actually yeah. So yeah, it's
Mm.
interesting. Your company is not meritocracy, and you're not gender blind. So it's like, yeah, if you need a test to understand
Yeah.
whether you're colorblind or gender blind
Or
in this
genderblind, yeah.
case. So I just wanted to scroll down. So yeah, so she has, I think, really great ideas what we can do about it, and I feel that still maybe not enough is happening. And there are some great highlights, like she says, untrained and supervised managers cause more harm to women than men. And I found this profoundly correct. Actually, untrained managers cause great harm, I
Oh
think,
my
in
God.
general.
Oh
But
my
but yeah,
God.
but
Yes.
somehow women end up being hurt, like even
Yeah.
more in that. So, and I would say that somehow actually maybe women managers who are untrained and unsupervised somehow inadvertently, maybe I want to give them benefit of doubt, cause even more damage, because
Mm,
they have made it that far and they really want to hold on to that position that they finally made it to. And in the process, I think they also have more expectations for other women around them, which causes a lot of pretty sick stuff in
mm.
enterprise. So yeah, so really great, very, again, very long suggestion. um I also found this don't emphasize FaceTime. And Paul, I think, Paul, we both talked a lot about working from home and advantages that
Mm,
it
mhm.
created for so many people,
Yep.
ourselves included.
Yes.
But so she puts this in just one paragraph, just very correctly, exactly how women really feel. And I don't want to put this in the newsletter story, but because we have like like 20 people watching these videos, I think I can share some personal story from way back. So it was almost 20 years ago. We had a manager who was originally from, Indian origin, but
Mhm.
he was is really great developer. So he was one of those who really great developer, kind of came up to the end of runway in technology, and it's like, where do you go from now? You made
Yeah.
it, as far as you could, but we still want to give you more money and maybe keep you in the company. So he was promoted to manager, and it was one of those probably things of untrained and unsupervised also. um, and I know that some developers, they don't really actually make great manager. He wasn't really a bad
Yeah.
one, but the problem is he actually was one of those people who were staying very late and thus creating example for other employees. Other ones like,
Oh yeah.
do we also need to stay late? But then when I talked to him, I found that he was actually in arranged marriage where he was like, this is almost like my retreat. So I have like screaming kids at home, and my wife, whom I kind of like, but I don't really feel like super passionate about spending time with that
Oh
person,
man.
being in arranged marriage.
Hmm.
I totally get it. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
if I had situation like this at home, I would probably also want to stay at work
Hmm.
more, just because it's quiet, it's nice, no one is here after 6 p.m. So it's great. But I think this is where we need to be more cognizant of different situation for different
Yeah.
people, and understanding what effect it's causing to everyone. So I told him, like, I mean, I totally get it, but I mean, dude, like, this other guys, I mean, I'm okay. I can look at you and say, okay, you want to stay past till 6 p.m., fine, but I'm not going to do that because I have
Hmm.
husband whom I actually chosen,
Hmm.
and I want to spend time with him and do some other stuff. But it's like in your culture, like I see that other guys who were also originally from India, they look up to him and they try to emulate what he does. And I see that they started staying later too. So like, dude, this is kind of not healthy. So
Mm.
and again, it affects women somehow more than men typically, because we have lots of other disadvantages on
Yeah.
top of that. So yeah, so long story short, so I'm going to write about ladies issues again, using this March Women History Month as my excuse. All right. So
But
next,
Yelena, my
yeah.
only question is, when do you think is the right time for me to play my man card?
Yeah. So probably
When do I get to
about
do that?
like 11 months out of 12. I think you're free to do that. So,
I'm
but
sorry.
I'm deeply, it's encouraging, Paul, that you're asking this question, because many men, they don't ask. They
Yeah.
just they just go about their lives, do not really thinking about, their gender identity
Not their
much.
deck of cards.
So yeah, exactly. Like, they just go. So all right. So but I mean, I don't mean to bash like the other gender, but this is 1 month where we get to talk
Yeah.
about women, so I'm gonna use it. All right. So next, great news in
Oh,
SAP, and so
I
this is
love this thing.
yeah, yeah. So
Oh
I was
man.
like, oh, I hope Paul doesn't pick this story, doesn't pick this subject for his story. Otherwise, we would have to share, or would have to, I don't know, play paper scissors rock to
Yeah.
see who gets to keep this subject. So great news, Tobias Hoffman, who we mentioned somehow quite a bit, I think, in our newsletter, and thank you, Tobias,
He does
for
great
what you're
stuff. He
doing.
does
Yeah,
great
great
stuff.
stuff. So great. Yeah, we keep doing so that we can write about it. So he started this great movement of SAP development tech radar, and it does evolve a lot. It actually, I think, this picture like wasn't there like yesterday, I think. So there is a lot of content being added just as we speak, literally,
Mm.
to this. What this is, it is like with stock, there is a buy, sell, or hold. The same with technology. Some of it is maybe, old, so it's in stop category. Hold is like okay, but nothing breathtaking there. And use and adopt, this is something that you can learn and start using more. So great advice, I think, for everyone in SAP ecosystem, like what exactly is good or maybe less so. And I'm so glad that it's coming from community rather than SAP themselves, because if you talk to official SAP people, they'll be like, yeah, like SAP BTP and cloud and all of that. But
Yeah.
I mean, as people who practically work with it, we know it's not always the case. So, but we don't talk loud about it. So I'm really glad that this is finally here on paper, and everyone can can contribute most importantly and also benefit from this information.
I mean,
All right.
can you imagine how many, like, I'm just thinking to either like introductory calls for clients
Yeah.
or like an ASIC meeting. If I could just hand somebody an iPad with this thing
Yeah.
on it,
Yeah.
like, you don't even need to ask me any questions, just here. Just
Yeah.
use this,
Yeah.
tap the number you're curious about. That's it. I'm done. You
Yeah.
don't even need to
Yeah.
talk to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And in many teams, it will have advantage for people who try to bring some more progressive approach and some modern development when they're meeting people who are like, yeah, we've done this 20 years, so it still works. So let's keep doing that. And it's very difficult as one person to convince anyone that something new is advantageous. It's possible, but it's difficult. But when you
Yeah.
have power of community behind you, and you can show, hey, there are great people who contributed to this, and that's what they think. So it's not just
Yep.
me. Don't listen just to me. Listen to them. That's much more difficult argument to
This
thing to argue with.
this radar kills like thousands of consulting hours
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah. Yeah. So damn. So not just
But in a
AI.
good
Is,
way,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is coming for SAP consultant jobs.
Yeah. Thanks a
Well,
lot, Tobias. You're killing all of
thank
us.
you, dude. I mean, why are you? Shoot, all our secrets exposed. Damn it. All right, and so last but not least, so object-oriented programming is a subject that keeps on giving. I think I could easily just get like running
Yeah.
column about OOP in our newsletter, but
Hmm.
that would be terribly boring. But I did find two really great channels that speak about object-oriented programming in particular, but also development in general, and again, what's good, what less good, etc. So NeetCode.io, this folks behind this channel, they also have some kind of training content, but they have really good, mostly short, like up to 10-minute videos. And if you look at it, like every video has this rather silly thumbnail with like people like, oh, doing this, very stupid impressions, but the actual video is good. It is just one person like narrating and sharing their opinion. I really like this video. Don't like
Mm.
thumbnail, but like this video. He had really great thoughts about object-oriented programming, and they're great because they I think the same way. In this video, he talks about why everything is hidden. It's so difficult to get behind the code because it's hidden behind all those interfaces, and it's just so like somewhere like in the depth because of all the good stuff maybe that we're doing, but that makes it difficult to find where the actual
Yeah.
issue is. So great points here. And second, somewhat similar channel, again, you see the thumbnail is yeah, one of those you find on internet. But this Zoran Horvath, so really kind of obscure channel, but again, great quality video where he just shares a code and he just narrates and he just talks about it. And in this code, so his channel is specifically about C sharp, I think, or C plus, yeah, C sharp. But I think everyone can just look at the methods and classes and understand in general like what's going on
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So in this video, he talks about method chaining over nested calls. And I really like his point when, so he creates the first kind of code attempt and it looks like this. So this piece, like, and he says funny thing like, so if you look at this code, it sounds like Yoda because it's completely like reverse sentence structure.
Right. Yeah.
It just sounds so weird. But in the end, he refactors all this code so it starts sounding more like a human would talk. And to me, this was just completely profound that when you simply read the code, if it reads good, then usually means it's actually designed well. Uh,
You just tapped on something that's in my stories too. This is good.
Awesome. All right. So that concludes my story. So conveniently going over to you, Paul.
This is perfect. The I was curious about something the other day, and I Googled what programming language has the most keywords. And I found this GitHub repository that somebody else had sort of a similar question. What languages have the most keywords?
Mm.
And there is a conspicuously missing thing. I mean, not conspicuously for the outside world, but conspicuous to us. And that is ABAP.
Mm.
And the reason that I find ABAP conspicuously missing, because if you look at this chart, like the winner of this particular thing is like 220-ish keywords in Visual Basic.
Yeah.
And then you flip to the ABAP keyword documentation
Mm.
and you see that ABAP has at least
Yeah,
twice as
500.
many
Yeah.
keywords,
Yeah.
500 plus or whatever. I forget what the
Yeah.
number is. I should have counted it up. The reason that this connects in my head to what you showed, Elena, the guy doing the refactoring and making it like human readable was when I learned ABAP, one of the things that made it go so quickly for me in learning was it's very verbose keyword wise,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Except I love that
Yeah.
because I hear a voice in my head reading the code as though a human is speaking like what's going on here, right? It feels very weird to write things like add corresponding or
Mm-hmm.
authority check or whatever. I mean, I know that those things make the language look old, but they also make it look like a language
Yeah.
to me, right?
Yeah.
And it makes it so it is one of my pleasures, even though I don't write as much ABAP as I used to. It is sincerely a pleasure to me to read ABAP code because of that wordiness, that verboseness, that chat. It's almost chatty code, but that chattiness feels good to me because it feels like almost like I'm talking to somebody when I read ABAP code, and I love that feature
Yeah.
of it. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do yet with it. I might try to write a story with only using ABAP keywords. I'm not sure how that would go, which
Add
that could be interesting.
corresponding.
Yeah. But I just love that feature of the
Yeah.
language, and I want it to retain that as best it can, just to have its
Mm.
own like flavor in the universe. So sort of just an in praise of many keywords is my
Yeah.
take on that.
I'm with you on this, and I've heard this from many people that yeah, it makes it look maybe old, but it also more human readable.
It's so
And
readable.
it's funny, sometimes you have to show the code to functional consultants or even business people, and with Apple it's like, well, you can actually read the code, so you don't even
Yeah.
need me to explain to you, like in some details, yes, but like you can in general understand what's happening here, and this been, I think, great advantage. It's been somewhat lost with newer syntax, which goes into more like
Yeah.
value, and then boop, boop, boop,
Yeah.
boop, boop. Or COND, that's like dumbest,
Yeah.
I think, keyword that they added. I mean, not dumbest by what it does, but like I mean, maybe spell it out for us a little
It
bit.
it just has that it just like because I do like that they are adding like features from other
Yeah.
languages. I just don't want it to lose the I like its
Yeah,
character. I like the
exactly. Yeah.
character, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not saying don't change. I'm just
Yeah.
saying don't become a thing we don't recognize
Yeah,
anymore.
exactly. Yeah,
Just
I
because,
think
man, I
yeah.
just love that.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's great to keep like old things that is good
Yeah.
and then add new thing without losing your, who you are.
Yeah.
It's yeah, awesome.
So that's that. I'll try to write a short story or something like that using only ABAP keywords or something like that. The other thing, I've done a couple stories on this in the past.
Ooh.
SAP's venture thing shut down on
Ooh.
March 1st this year.
Uh-oh.
So they're still doing other stuff. I think they still make investments through other things,
Mm.
but there were a ton of things on this thing's portfolio.
Mm.
So I'm gonna go back and look at what I wrote before on this stuff because there was a lot of little fun things I did, but also kind of try to figure out, okay, well, what does that look like today? What are they, how does investing from SAP's side look in terms of what they get into,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's just interesting to me from the standpoint of, I guess if Christian Klein is listening to me, he can come fight me or whatever. But like the SAP, like the what do you call it? The partner program for like reselling, not reselling,
Mm-hmm.
but for selling like your own add-ons or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much sucks, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And like this is what this used to be was like almost like a companion to that that was a different way of going about doing
Mm,
maybe something similar in concept to that.
mm,
And it was cool just to see other things that had the idea of like, yeah, okay, SAP can be a part of this or that, whatever, but it's not the whole thing. And I just want people in the SAP world to not sort of lose hope that you can like do interesting things
yeah.
that have SAP attached to it somehow and make it go. So
Mm,
that's all I'm saying is that I just I just kind of have a soft spot in my heart for startups and for small people
mm.
trying to like do interesting things. And I don't want that I also don't want that to get lost either. So I'm kind of like an old curmudgeon in this whole video right now of like keep up the same. Don't give up on your ventures. Like just do what you used to do. Don't change. All this kind of stuff. But that's where my heart takes me on this stuff. The other
Okay.
one is have you ever worked with UFT? The it used to be HP, now it's OpenText ALM tool that
Mm,
has it's for testing, writing testing scripts. Like not just for writing the script of like first you the tester should do this, then you should do this, but like actually creating automated tests for that.
no,
UFT
I'm like,
1
what's you?
it it's for creating automated tests of
Mm,
things that is kind of linked up to like the ALM defect recording process,
mm,
testing process, right? And I just got a demo the other day from somebody who works at OpenText
mm,
about some of to me, new features. To him, it was probably a couple years old already.
mm,
But there was a couple things I think people are in the world, they're not quite understanding what is at their fingertips now with
mm,
automated testing. But also there was a second angle that I think maybe I might write about more too, is that there's a ton of AI in their UFT1 stuff, but it's not the generative AI. It's like old school AI of just like computer vision kind of
mm,
things
mm,
that actually make your tests really interestingly robust. So for
mm,
example, in like old school automated testing of like a website,
mm,
if you're writing the test script, you have to make the script realize to click on this particular thing.
yeah.
And the way you used to do it was like you would go into the code of the page and have it go, okay, it's this HTML element with this CSS classes and attributes.
Mm,
So click that. But that's
mm,
super brittle, right? Because
yeah.
as soon as you make a change to your like web dev setup, it all just falls apart.
Mm,
But with a computer vision style thing, you don't say click on this element with this, you say click the button that says login.
mm,
And then even if you change the button to say sign in,
mm,
it still does it
mm,
because it knows that login and sign in mean the same thing. And
mm,
it knows to look at the screen and find that place and click it rather than like dive into the object structure of the HTML
mm,
and send a click event to that element. It just like it does the thing based on its vision of the stuff.
mm,
And that makes it robust to like future changes and future updates and all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, way less of your tests are falling apart every time you
mm,
do an upgrade of a system or change
mm,
some piece of whatever. And to me, I was like, that was profound to me because I mean, I have always thought that when I go do projects that have a huge testing cycle, way more things should be automated that aren't
mm,
in that. And this stuff and stuff like it is a path to that, or it's
mm,
on the path to that. And
mm.
I don't think enough people know about it. So I kind of want to like just show a couple things that I saw this guy give a demo on that I was like, holy crap, that's amazing. We should be doing that more often. Um, and I haven't seen it that much in the wild yet. And I want people to understand and know that so that they do that too.
I was just gonna ask if you actually worked at any place that was successful with implementing any kind of test automation.
So the place I'm doing some work with now is doing some of it.
Mm,
I think they're not doing enough of this of
okay.
it. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
they're handcrafting
Yeah.
the like go to the page, look at this
Yeah.
element,
Yeah.
CSS class, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
They should be doing more of this
Mm.
business here.
I have to say my experience was like, yeah, I think obviously every company can benefit from automation of their testing, but
Yeah.
making actual investments in it, that's where you get into,
Yeah.
yeah, like, yeah, how much
Yeah.
money? Like, yeah, no, no, not gonna do that because
Yeah.
yeah, it may be difficult to I don't know, kind of express exact value in numbers, like this is how much we invested, this is how much we got on this.
Yeah.
My only experience, I would say, was implementation of automated tests using different tool. I think it was Mercury or something like that, way early in the days, was, and company was really invested, so they had designated people to work with this, which is the right approach, because otherwise, if you put it on business people, they will be like, heck no, I have, already
Hmm.
so much work to do. I don't have time to do this on top of it. But I think, again, brittleness of all this setup, it's what usually killer of all these initiatives.
Yeah.
um,
100%.
and, and also needs correlated, or I don't know, there is correlation or causation here, but need to constantly maintain this
Yeah.
stuff. And sometimes there isn't even clear pattern, because when we started developing those tests, we will go and sit with like a subject matter expert, like business person, and they're like, yeah, this is how we like typically do that, but there's also this stuff and this stuff. There are so many branches from the
And then
tree that
and then every time you hear somebody say but, you just imagine like
like, oh
the
crap,
glass
yeah.
shattering of your idea of how to do it,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. So like, how can you automate something that you
Yeah.
cannot even define clearly? That's always, I think, the biggest problem with all of those initiatives. But
I know.
it's also amazing over all those years. I mean, it wasn't too bad with one company, just because the approach was, okay, we keep it simple, we just do end-to-end testing when we upgrade, but because we keep it simple, it doesn't really cost us too much time. So that
Yeah.
which is valid
Yeah.
approach, I think,
Yeah.
for that size. But then
Absolutely.
other companies, I looked at, like, just looking at how much they could have saved if they started doing something more automated like years ago when they got into this like SAP business. It's amazing. I mean, their investment would have paid off, I think, twice by where we are now, but someone, I
100%.
guess, did not realize it way back.
100%.
It's, yeah, hindsight is 2020,
Yeah.
as they say. So, all
All right.
right.
Well, guys, those are the things we're thinking about, writing about, and talking about. As usual, something probably will shift under our feet. We'll write about something else by the time it goes up. But these are our thoughts and thinkings. So comment, subscribe, send us some hate mail, whatever you want to do. Get in touch, and we will see you guys later. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye, everyone.